The story of Cal last night is, look, I mean, from a Seattle perspective, there's, watching one of our own here become great, become noticed, become a major part of the national lore of baseball, and become one of the best and most engaging players in the game, not to mention everything that he does for the Mariners, right? And has this team currently in a playoff spot after getting them into the playoffs with that home run a few years ago. Jeff Passan wrote a tremendous piece on it yesterday at ESPN that is definitely worth your time today. Adam Jude recently wrote a good, Shannon gets to do her weekly interview with Cal. It's the season of Cal. I mean, you're just getting a chance to not only see him blossom on the field, but also get a chance to know who he is. And I think that has helped make the story even better. He is a pretty incredible, authentic human being, and I think that resonates with so many people out there. Watching him with his family last night, it made it even better. As great as it was to see Cal win, seeing his dad throw to him, and by the way, did a really good job, especially after the first round, as Cal kind of zeroed in on where he wanted the ball. His dad did a really good job. And then seeing his brother out there, and then later seeing his mom and the rest of the Raleigh family, it was cool. Seeing the note that Cal wrote for his mom on her jersey last night, thanking her for all the sacrifices she had made for him. Again, genuine dude and really cool family. Turns out we had actually heard about some of this before. If you remember back to spring training, we sat down with Cal and almost with everybody last year. Maybe it's the youth sports element or kind of where we're at in life. But Brock and I were asking a lot of the guys we talked to about their families, about their parents, about their, experience growing up and what their parents had meant to them. And when we talked to Cal about his toughness, he went right there.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest influence is my dad. He was a coach. He's always been my coach. And the biggest thing, even to this day, is he's a guy that can kind of hold me accountable and kind of tell me the hard truths. And, he brings a great perspective, to my mind a lot of the times. And he just, he's always telling me, there's a lot worse things you could be doing. You get to play baseball for a living. You get to be out there every single day. People will kill to be doing what you do. So, when you put it into that perspective and you look at it through that lens, it's like, yeah, of course I want to be out there every day. And I want to be out there for my guys, and you want to be, counted for. And, I'd say he's a huge one for me. And, he was a guy that, never took a day off, and kind of same mentality of like show up every day, no matter how you're feeling. And you got a job to do.
That's Cal talking about his dad in spring training long before we got a chance to see him last night throwing batting practice. And I'll have some sound from his dad here as well. I wanted to first read you this from Passan's article. Before Raleigh entered fifth grade, Todd's success at Western Carolina, Todd is his dad, earned him the head coaching job at the University of Tennessee, one of the country's premier college programs. In Knoxville, Raleigh encountered the first challenges to his love of the game. He got cut from his middle school team. Kind of a Michael Jordan story, right? Jordan was high school, but all right. He got cut from his middle school team. Todd, who had recruited Mookie Betts to play for the Vols, only to see him sign with the Red Sox out of high school, got fired after 4 seasons. At Knoxville Catholic, a coach told Raleigh he was a Division III talent. As he fumed, Todd, his dad, offered him some advice. Quote, get so much better that you can't be told no. Great line, and great job from Jeff Passan kind of getting to that and getting to that part of the Cal Raleigh story. That's important. That's where the work ethic comes from. And you hear it again later in the story after he struggled at the pro level for the first time, or at the major league level, and went down to AAA, and kind of what he did to say, hey, I'm never going back. I'm never going back to that. And so that toughness, that authenticity, you can see where it comes from very much from the guy who threw him batting practice last night and afterwards was about as proud as you could be.
Well, it's just a great accomplishment, and I think that everybody, every dad that's ever had a kid, this is what they dreamed about, and as a dad, you kind of dream about it. To see it come true for your son is unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't have a son, and I don't know that any of my kids are ever going to be on a stage quite like that one, but Of course you dream of that level of success for your kid. And for him to have the ability or the fact that he could be out there as a part of it, contribute to it one last time, all of and parents know what, that you're willing to make sacrifices for your kids and things you're willing to do for them that if anybody else asked you, you'd be like, what? No, I'm not doing that. Are you kidding me? But for your kids, you got that soft spot and you are willing to do it. And sometimes you do have to be, you can't just give in. And sometimes you got to do things that are hard for their own good so that they learn. And that's going to be a part of this Jim Abbott conversation at 7:30 of how his disability helped him kind of grow and achieve all of the things that he did in his life. And sometimes those things can be, while incredibly frustrating in the moment, very helpful long term. Yeah, maybe Cal getting cut from that middle school team did turn him into the player that he eventually became. Maybe Cal struggling the first time he got to the majors did help turn him into the player that we're watching right now. Maybe the fact that when he first showed up in the Mariners organization, he was told, yeah, we heard you weren't that good. And he had to surprise everybody and be better than everybody and work harder than everybody. It doesn't work for everyone. Like just reaching just getting to obstacles, for some people, it hurts. It's worse. They don't do well. They need those obstacles cleared for them, and they're never going to succeed by just throwing obstacles in their path. They have a different creative way around them, maybe. But in the right person, with that mentality, when they're told no, or they're not allowed, or they don't make the team, or they fail, or whatever it is, it sparks something in them to just achieve even more. And very clearly, that's what Cal has done, why we get this just incredible moment from him last night. And you see the leadership. I mean, we heard a little bit from his brother. Here he was, just quickly.
Greatness.
He said what he saw from his brother, greatness. He went on later to talk about leadership because Eduardo Perez had asked him, hey, it seemed like you were really showing leadership out there. Where'd you get it? And he's like, well, I got it from Cal. I mean, like, he's 13 years older than me, and he's always been my hero. And it was a really, touching moment. 13-year age difference between siblings is a lot. So it's probably not that surprising that he looks up to him that way. But, it makes perfect sense. So what do you do to be a hero? What do you do to be a leader? Johnny Bench, I thought, gave us as simple of an answer as you could get.
You show up on time. You take charge. You show up on the field. You don't ask any special favors. You just guide. You're up there. If here's Cal standing at the cage. Here's Cal dressed. He's ready to go. Here's Cal on time. You don't have to be the earliest guy in the place. You got to be dedicated to what you do. You got to be the guy that walks out there to the pitcher and understands, develops a rapport with every pitcher. You got to be a psychologist because you got to understand that pitcher. And then you got to go up there with an approach when, there's four ways to have a great game as a catcher. You call a good game, which is the number one thing for a catcher. You throw out runners, you block home plate, which isn't anything anymore, and you get to hit.
And you get to hit. He just kind of throws that one in at the end. Pretty amazing. Cal's getting a hit and do it quite a bit these days. Pretty awesome to see.